Hi, everyone. So, the video you'll watch before, you'll find the sound is a bit off. I really was addled from being off and out for a while because I forgot to plug in the microphone, but I'm not going to record it because it's what I wanted to say. So, I'm just going to make sure before I post it that it is hearable. And if it is, guess what? You don't have the sparkly sound of a microphone. Something else that came up while I was sick in this lovely experience of discomfort was just being in my listening space and listening. There were a couple of moments where I kind of left radio on in background or online radio, and I was listening to a bunch of stuff going on about the fires down in California. I know a few people down there, so I wanted to check in and see how it's going. And I don't care when you're listening to this, if it's now or if it's a year from now, you most likely will know what I'm talking about, the big fires in California that have shaken everything up. I want to make sure I describe this correctly. Um, yeah, it can be easy to misinterpret things, especially when there's emotion attached to an event, an experience, or anything else. And these forest fires, these urban fires that have burnt through LA are definitely a really big experience for a lot of people. So I want to focus first on the nature, how nature has been a part of these fires. And as I say that, I want you to remember when you hear me say that, that we are nature. This body doesn't exist without nature. The food I put in this body keeps recreating it every day. This body was made by the food my mother was putting into her body. This is not a separate piece of nature. It is tied into everything that flows. My exhales feed the trees. The exhales of the trees feed me for my inhales. So when I see natural disasters, I don't go, oh my God, that thing that's happening, or wow, nature's mad and taking it out on people. No, it's nature is just a different body. Earth is a body. There's a reason they're considered beings within a lot of cultural experiences. And the philosophy I study in Vedanta and in yoga, each planet is a body, a very distinct being. So, like, we have lots of living fungi and bacteria and viruses, trillions upon trillions within our singular human form. This form of the planet has aspects like that. And I would say that this earth body has been under such stress, like pushed past its zone of discomfort, that it's coming out in illness. And this is a twofold thing so that you can see yourself within it. This is the only reason I'm talking about it right now. If you were in a yoga pose, if you were to do the same thing every day and you always pushed past your edge, push, 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 you're eventually going to damage something. We have signals in our body for a reason. If you're a weightlifter and you're always lifting weights much heavier than your body's ready for, much heavier than you've built up the ability to deal with, there's a good chance you're either going to damage your back or your knees or some other part of you. There will be damage because you're not working with where your body is at. If you're in a yoga pose, even in yin, you're just pushing, looking for an edge, and you're like, no, I'm going to get deeper than that edge because I want to keep up with that person beside me. You know, have no idea how long they've been doing their practice. You don't know if they've never had an injury and you've had tons of injuries. You just know what your body needs. And if you don't listen to it, you're going to again force something and force it to break. And there's another side. And the absolute opposite side is if you never stress things. And I talked about this in the other video. If you never get stress for an immune system, it's going to really get slammed when something does come along. This is why it's good for kids to play in dirt and be touching things that the dog ate and that they build up an immune system, a good, strong immune system. If you always keep kids away from everyone, you don't let them get dirty, you're always putting antiseptic stuff on their hands, killing off the bacteria that their bodies need, their immune systems will be compromised. They're never going to build up strength. They're never going to go through that discomfort of catching colds and building up these powers of immunity that they can use decades down the line. So imagine then Earth on the other side of it, areas where everything's just left. There is no discomfort incurred. We stop forest fires in many areas because we don't want to do controlled burns because it freaks people out to see any form of fire. So, no, we're just not going to touch anything. You know, people will say, well, nature can take care of that, but we are a part of nature. And there's people like Romuald Kimmer who wrote Braiding Sweetgrass, and they get it. It's like we are participants within nature, and there are some things within nature that function better with our support, with us participating as part of the whole cycle. And within forests, a lot of First Nations knew this. There was a need to sometimes go in and clear to move things to allow a freshening. And here you have places where nothing has been touched. And again, when a stress comes along, all of a sudden, like fire attached to the stress of the wind, and nothing's had a chance to get stronger. There's nothing that's been feeding the undergrowth and overgrowth. There's been no care of the deciduous plants that will hold water. Then the stress that hits goes beyond discomfort. It's now that person lifting too much weight, hurting something. It's now that child who's never stressed their immune system being smacked over the head with something big. Look around. The earth is a body, and we keep thinking we know better. Doesn't mean don't participate, but we have to learn how to participate, just like the microbiome in our gut. Our gut knows what it needs, but we don't always listen and give it what it needs because we think it's uncomfortable to do things like, how many people I know go, well, I've never tried that. I don't like it. I don't want it. But if you've never tried it, how do you know? And if you try it and it works and it's good for you and it feeds something in you and strengthens you, is it bad? No. I know this is a lot of this, but it's a microcosm, it's a macrocosm, and none of it's different. It's a fractal. Everything's a fractal of something else. And all of it has one thing in common, that a form of discomfort, a form of stress is required, of stepping outside of a comfort zone in order to support growth, health, and movement. And if we don't use those discomforts, those stressors that take us outside of that safe space, we're going to get gobsmacked. It's not climate change, it's an unhealthy body. It's an unhealthy body. We can participate with this body without, leaving it all and hoping for the best, or without destroying everything and going, well, whatever. There is balance in everything. We have this thing up here so that we can see this bigger picture and we can extrapolate information and we can come up with a bigger possibility. But you can't do that if you're unhealthy. You can't do that if you don't stress your brain, if you don't stress your body, if you don't stress everything, but don't do it to break it. Do it to make it all stronger. Controlled burns to get a forest stronger, to encourage those things to grow that only grow once they've been through a fire. What do you choose? Really, what do you choose? Do you choose to hide, cross your fingers, and hope for the best? Do you choose to participate, not overdo what you should? And again, this is not a judgment. You don't need the 30,000 square foot home that's going to stress the environment around you so much. We don't know this. People aren't taught this all the time. They aren't taught how to hear this. So I'm just saying this with love. You don't need a 30,000 square foot home because that's too much stress. But if you're going to have a nice home, help the environment around, help stress it in a way that it's healthy so that all of you can participate, so that you and all the nature that you are a part of can be strong. I'm sure there are many lessons that will be learned. I will not judge the fires as being terrible because, like everything in life, if we take the lesson as it is offered, whether it feels shitty at the time or not, in the end, that lesson might be the very thing that offers us our evolution. And I think right now, this is being offered much more than we would comfortably like. But that's exactly what's happening because I think we were all in need, wherever we are in life, of a little more discomfort in what we believe is right. I'll stop there. Got a bunch more to do, but that's my thought for the now. Again, query it. Think of yourself. Go into your own life and see where you've been trying to maintain such comfort that you're not being part of your own nature. Okay, take care.